Good morning, friends. It's Mrs. Bailey, and today we are going to be learning about the 4th of July, or Independence Day. And you may already know something about Independence Day, but if not, you're going to learn in this book. And if you do, maybe you'll learn a couple of extra things. So we're going to head right on in and get started so we don't waste any time. And I'm going to put my cursor down like this every now and then, so in case you're lost, you can catch up. Try to follow along as best you can. The 4th of July. Oh, what a day. We all love celebrating on the 4th with cookouts, barbecues, family, friends, the beach, and fireworks. All the fireworks. But what exactly are we celebrating? Do you know? I'm sure you realize that the 4th of July has something to do with the United States because everything is always decorated with red, white, and blue, the colors of our flag. But what exactly does it have to do with the United States? Do you know? The 4th of July celebrates the United States' independence from England. Actually, another name for the 4th of July is Independence Day. And we're going to learn a little bit more about that word independence later on. But it means our freedom from England, and that is another country. And through this book, you may hear me say England or Great Britain. That's because England is a part of Great Britain. So I kind of use them interchangeably. And that's so in case you hear it later on, you'll know that it's kind of talking about the same thing. What does all this mean, though? Well, everything has to start somewhere. For instance, in order for you to get through first grade or second grade, you had to start out in kindergarten, or maybe even pre-kindergarten or pre-K. You had to begin your school journey at some point in order to get where you are today. If you're homeschooled, you still had to start somewhere. You had to learn the alphabet before learning how to read. You have to learn your letters and your sounds before you can put them together to make words, right? So it still had to start somewhere. Countries have a beginning also, and this includes the United States. Do you know how we began? It has a lot to do with why we celebrate the 4th of July, or Independence Day. A long, long time ago, there was a group of people in England who got very tired of the way officials were running their country, so they decided they needed to leave their country in order to live life on their own terms. They wanted more freedom or independence. Those words are kind of interchangeable too. Up until this time, the people of England weren't allowed to worship the way they wanted to. In other words, they couldn't go to the church they wanted to go to. They also weren't allowed to make money the way they wanted to, and for a fair wage, so for as much money as they needed. So they chose to look for a different land where they could start over and hopefully live life more freely. This led them to the United States of America, though it wasn't called that at the time. The first pilgrims, as they were called, landed in the colony of Virginia. Our states, as we call them today, used to be called colonies. And I bet you knew that. So over here, we have England. They sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to get to the United States. Sorry about that really bad line. It's hard for me to write on this thing. So they came across the Atlantic Ocean and landed in the colony of Virginia, looking for a better life. For a while, things were better. Not great, but better. You see, the colonists were still under British rule. the same people who ruled them in England. But since they were separated by a huge ocean, they were able to have more freedoms. The land became more populated, and before too long, there were 13 colonies. When it says the land became more populated, it means that more people started arriving and people started having babies. So there was a bigger population, or a lot more people. And there were 13 colonies. Eventually, the colonists wanted what they originally came to America for in the first place: complete freedom, or independence, from England. This means that they needed to completely separate from England. Independence, freedom from the control of others. So this is the United States. Somewhere around here is where Virginia was. And you see how this English flag right here is still kind of a part of this British flag right here? That's because England was a part of Great Britain. Unfortunately, Great Britain wasn't too happy about this idea, so the colonists had to go to war with the British in order to gain their independence. This war was called the American Revolutionary War. But finally, on July 4th, 1776, the 13 colonies declared their independence from Great Britain, or England, becoming their own country. The formal papers that were signed are called the Declaration of Independence. Some of the famous people who signed the Declaration of Independence were Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and John Adams. Now, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams were both presidents, and Benjamin Franklin was an inventor. I bet you've heard of all three. And it says declaration or declare means to formally state something. So if you were to tell your friend, hey, every day before we go into school, let's touch this tree, and then we go inside. That's just you making a statement to your friend. You're just telling your friend that's what you want to do. But if you told the principal of your school, can you make it a big statement to where everybody has to touch this tree before they come into school? And then your principal has an assembly with all of the school, and he stands up in front of the entire school, and he declares or makes a declaration that everybody has to touch the tree before they come into school. That is what a formal statement or a declaration is. That's stating it formally in a big way. It's kind of crazy to have to do that for a tree before you come into school, but I'm just trying to show you the difference between a statement and a declaration. So declaring your independence, declaring your freedom from another country. That's why it's called the Declaration of Independence. After this, the 13 colonies became known as states, and the states united together to be called the United States of America. Today, there are 50 states, and this is the reason there are 50 stars on the American flag. There are 13 stripes, which represent the first 13 colonies that started our great country. So here are the 50 stars, and here are the 13 stripes that represent the first 13 colonies. Now, every year on July 4th, our country unites together to celebrate the beginning of our country. We have no hard feelings toward Great Britain or England. After all, England is our mother country, but we're happy to celebrate the birth of our own separate country, the United States of America. So we call England our mother country because, like a mother, we came from England. That's how we started. That was our origin. We separated later, but they are still the ones who helped start our country. we came from them. Because remember, it was people coming from England across the Atlantic Ocean into the United States of America. How do you celebrate the 4th of July? And over here we have people at a cookout. We have the food that we see, which is a lot of times hamburgers and hot dogs. Sometimes there's a barbecue. These two children look like they're at a parade. Sometimes people go to the beach. You can go watch fireworks at a park. You can do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. You can stay at home and chill. Maybe watch a parade on TV or cook out with your family. So friends, I hope you enjoyed learning about the 4th of July or Independence Day. I hope you recognize why it's called Independence Day as well as the 4th of July. We signed the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Bye-bye.